SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Engineering, Medical and Health Sciences, Management, Dental, Science and Humanities, Law, Agriculture Sciences, Hotel Management. Admissions open.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. The SRM Institute of Science and Technology presents the virtual conclave for career guidance powered by The Hindu. Today, we will be discussing how COVID-19 is redefining jobs and lifestyle. I'm Radhika Santanam, Assistant Editor with The Hindu, and I will be moderating today's session. Each speaker today will speak for 10 minutes, after which I will open the floor for discussion. I'll start by introducing our distinguished panelists for today. First, we have Mr. Krishnan CA, who is the Business Unit Head for Higher Education at the Tata Consultancy Services ION. He carries rich experience across geographies in the US, Europe, and India, working closely with Fortune 500 clients across industry verticals such as banking, telecom, manufacturing, retail, and education. Mr. Krishnan has held several leadership positions in strategy, business development, delivery, and products, and has been part of TCS ION right from its inception. With a keen understanding of client priorities and a deep domain knowledge of key industries, he has conceptualized several new products, platforms, and services at TCS that have helped global clients reimagine their business and drive value creation for their consumers. Thank you, Mr. Krishnan, for having us today. Next, we have Ms. Anshula Verma, a TEDx speaker, happiness coach, and a wellness coach. She's the founder and creator of the brand Happy Fit You, which focuses on emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, and environmental well-being. She teaches the art of being happy, positive thinking, skills building, fit living, work-life management, living a stress-free life, basically all the things that we need at a bleak time like this. She is also a mentor with Niti Aayog with Goal, which is going online as leaders, a mentorship program powering young women from rural and tribal regions in India to become leaders of tomorrow. The district that she has been allocated to mentor is Hoshangabad. The brand Happy Fit You is associated with Wipro, Reliance, IIT Kharagpur, Cox & Kings, SP Jain School of Global Management, Rotaract, Sterling College, Sinopharma, and many others. Thank you, Ms. Verma, for being here with us today. Last but not the least, we have Mr. N. Venkatashastri, who is Director, Career Center, SRM Institute of Science and Technology. Mr. Shastri has more than 24 years of experience in administration and management of formal and non-formal academic programs and related services like student affairs, training, and placement and industry engagement. He was formerly advisor, Temple City Institute of Engineering and Technology, Bhubaneswar, Director, IIG Edukec Private Limited, Advisor, Corporate Relations, Chitkara University, Senior Director, Corporate Relations, Lovely Professional University, and many others. Thank you, sir, for being with us today. First, we will start with Mr. Krishnan.
Thank you, Radhika, for that very warm introduction. Just trying to get my presentation on. Are you able to see my presentation?
Yes.
Thank you. So indeed, an honor and privilege for me to connect with the student community today. And I really wish all of them all the very best to take time off on a Sunday morning. And I also welcome all the parents who are joining today. And before I get started, I just thought I will relate a small story. A couple of weeks back, a student reached out to me on LinkedIn, and he had a lot of questions. And he said if I can spend some time, mentoring him and giving him some tips on how he should prepare, very similar to the topic that we're going to talk today. And as I was interacting with him, I also, got to understand some of the challenges that students are facing in this very difficult time. And the biggest challenge that I could relate to is he was telling me that there is not enough guidance and mentorship that today they get from either parents or from their peer group. And there was significant anxiety amongst in him because he was telling me that his parents have invested significant amount of time. They don't come from a very rich background, and he was definitely looking for some guidance on how what the future holds and how should he go about preparing. While I did my best, I also felt a little bit heavy at heart that many students, more than millions of students today, do not have the right guidance that will help them prepare for the future. And I definitely want to thank SRM and Hindu for organizing this. And I also want to make a request to everyone who has joined this session is if you get anything out of this session, please do find the time to share it with your friends. Maybe they will get to benefit from it. And perhaps just like that student, they don't have the opportunity to interact and get a better idea about what the future holds for us. With that, let me start off. I have three things to share with all of you. I want to talk about how the pandemic is specifically affecting learning, internships, and placements. Three very important dimensions. And if I were to pick one of this dimension, it would be learning. And I can say that there is no better time than today to hone up on the skills and learn, because the opportunity that the pandemic has created is significant for the right student with the right mindset to make best use of the opportunities that are available to them. As the pandemic set in, clearly there is significant disruption. The traditional classrooms that we have known have become outdated. And even post the pandemic, things are going to remain the same. And there is significant opportunity for students to first realize that it is the new normal that we are living in, an age where there is going to be anytime, anywhere, and any device access to learning. And today we see significant opportunity for students with the right mindset to learn. And there are significant number of online programs that are getting launched, simulated digital environment where students can try their hands-on and upgrade themselves, which traditional classrooms never used to offer. The second big trend that I see is learning today. There is significant explosion of content, and what that creates is significant fatigue among students. And this is something that one needs to watch out for. And the best way to ensure that all of this content is consumed right, it is important to ensure that this content is getting contextualized. And it is here that parents, industry leaders, academic institutions have a very important role to play, so that the content is contextualized, personalized, and made it in such a way that the student can consume it much more effectively. And the last trend that I see, which is exploding the opportunity for students, is significant opportunities to learn through different channels. Gone are the days that learning just happens when you visit a classroom. Today, every interaction that is there is an opportunity to learn. You can learn from your peers. You can learn by publishing an article. You can learn by interacting with industry, networking with the industry. You can learn through some of the advanced analytics that are available to benchmark your skills in various areas and then work on what the technology is talking about today. We have AI-based algorithm which can really look at a student, analyze their video, and see where they lack, and then the students can start working on it. So clearly, there is an explosion of the number of channels and different modes of learning. And what used to be a very unidirectional mode from a teacher to a student is being replaced by a multimodal learning pedagogy. And for the right student, is a great opportunity to maximize this. While these trends are very positive, digital content and then multimodality, there are also a set of challenges that we need to be aware of. And once we are aware of these challenges, I'm sure we will be able to overcome them. The first big challenge that I see is a concern on the quality of the learning. And many institutions today, what they have done since the onset of the pandemic is they've just taken the physical classroom online. And that might not be the best approach because it definitely hurts the quality, and it also hurts in terms of the levels of engagement that one can achieve. Another big challenge is, today from a corporate side, degrees are not just good enough. So we are looking for students who just don't have an MBA or a BTech program, but they have more skills, especially technology skills, and present themselves as a much more holistic, well-developed individual. And the other challenge related to this is also the credibility of some of these certifications that the students are doing, online certifications. Again, while significant amount of time, effort is being spent, one also needs to be aware whether the certificates are from reputed institution. Do they have endorsement from corporates? So those are the things that I would say are opportunities for students. Look for programs that is not pure online, which has some component of digital, so that you not only get to learn a particular skill, but also get to apply it. Programs that you choose should have endorsement from top universities, top corporates, so that what you're learning and the return on invested time is that much more higher. And today, technology is permeating every industry. So it's even if a student doesn't want to work in the technology industry, it is very important that they gain skills in the technology domain, because today every bank or a retail firm is getting disrupted. It is very important to have some skills in technology, irrespective of the industry or kind of work profile that you have. And obviously choose programs that have significant learning and experiential component, hands-on component. Because from a corporate standpoint, what we are looking for is not just theoretical knowledge, but also application of that knowledge in real world context. It is always better for us to have a student who has a single skill, but knows how to apply it, rather than having multiple skills, but they don't have the confidence to apply. And then comes another very important dimension, which is the internship. The pandemic again has significantly reduced the number of internships available due to the lockdowns. The gap that always used to exist has widened even further. And the disruption in learning that I spoke in the last slide is also hurting a student to gain the skills so that they can apply it in a real world internship opportunity that gets provided by the corporate. And the opportunity for student here is again, if you research well, plan well. While the number of physical internships are coming down, there's a huge explosion in the number of virtual internship. AICTE has come up with platform for students to get internship. TCS ION, we have come up with virtual internships projects. So it's very important to not just look at the theoretical knowledge, but also look at opportunities where students can get a chance to be mentored by industry, get to work on internship projects. And these platforms also allow better matching of demand with supply, and also offer curated learning programs so that students can not just be offered an internship, but also the associated learning, so that they can apply skills and gain skills that will help them learn better in a mentored internship program. The last challenge that I want to leave you with is challenges around placement. Definitely, the number of jobs have come down in certain industries. Many jobs are getting automated with the huge flux of digital. A lot of companies are looking at redoing some of the traditional defined jobs. And this is challenging job market that the student would enter. But At the same time, it is important to understand that the opportunities are also opening up. And I have 4 key messages over here that I would like students to look at. Look at every opportunity to network with potential recruiters, like that student did, reaching out to me. There are many, industry professionals who would be keen to mentor students. It's just that you need to ask and, reach out. The other area that I would like to lay emphasis on is today there are a lot of platforms by which you can get your skills credentialed, and these platforms offer an opportunity for students then to access a lot of jobs. Think of it like an Uber model where a student can benchmark and baseline their skills and work on them, and then have their profile shared with corporates. The TCS NQT is a good example of such a platform. There are many other platforms, so utilize them, and also ensure that you are able to understand where you stand, thereby having a plan to get from where you are to where you need to be. And we also see that students who invest in learning and invest in skills that the industry needs are also getting and starting their career journey at a much higher salary package. And hence it's equally important for the student to look at gaining skills that the industry needs. I see a lot of programs today that do not have a strong corporate endorsement or corporate design of the curriculum. Maybe it reduces the probability of finding the right match for a student. So it's very important for the student to look at skills that the corporate needs and ensure that the program that they're investing in has that component integrated into it. So these are my quick thoughts on the question of how pandemic has changed the job market, the lifestyle. To summarize, there has been no better time to learn. I wish I was a student today. The kind of learning opportunity that has been created, the pandemic has only accelerated move toward digital. But at the same time, there are some challenges. As long as we understand them, plan for them, prepare for them, I'm sure the opportunities clearly outweigh the challenges. And I wish every student the very best in making utilize all of these opportunities to grow and meet their career goals. Best of luck, best wishes. Thank you. Back to you, Radhika.
Thank you, Mr. Krishnan. That was a very succinct and useful presentation on the challenges posed by COVID and what opportunities are there. We already have some questions from the students, but I will pose them to you once the other speakers are done. Students, I request you to keep asking us the questions. I'll be noting them down, so you don't have to wait till the speakers are done. Next, we have Ms. Anshala Verma. Anshala.
Hi, everybody. It is such an honor to be able to speak in front of you. So, I think you've been having your career counseling sessions since a while now, for the past few days. But I'm not going to be talking to you more about what you should be learning and what skill set should you be getting. I'm going to be talking to you about, in order to get that skill set, what kind of an attitude would you require during these tough times? So first, I'll just, we all know that COVID has created a really, just a minute. Okay, so we all know that COVID has created a really bad impact on all of us. Earlier, we used to, go meet our friends in college, decide amongst ourselves what we want to do. And one of us would be like, oh, I'll do engineering. Oh, I'll do medical. Oh, I'll do this. But now the things have changed to such an extent that even if you want to take someone as a role model in terms of following a path to your education system, you can't do that because that path is totally different now. So so where does this bring us to? This brings us to actually our attitude towards the entire system of education, of work, of lifestyle. Okay, so there's something I read across. I'll read it out to you, and it'll kind of probably give you a more insight as to what you want to um, do with what you have right now and the things that you want to pursue in your life. So the longest you live, the more you realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude is usually the most important. It's important than fact, then education, then money, then circumstances, then failures, then success, what other people say or do. You might come across certain situations in your life where you've been pressurized to do something and you're passionate about something else. It's like how in Three Idiots movie they said, "Oh, अगर अपने passion के पीछे जाएगा तो अच्छा करेगा, and if you don't go behind your passion, you'll not be able to do good, right?" So it's the same thing like that. So do something that you're passionate about, okay, in which you know you're going to work hard. First. Second, it is more, your attitude is more important than appearance, than giftedness, than skills. It will make or break a company, a temple, a church, a home, or you. So you need to realize that having a positive attitude or positive lookout on your life, irrespective of the circumstances, irrespective of whether you're doing well or not, will make a huge difference. So that's where the hope and positive attitude brings in hope, which is really important in these times. Okay. Um, the remarkable thing is that we have a choice every day regarding our attitude we embrace each day. We cannot change the past or our situations in life. Okay, we cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play one string at a time. You know how like a guitar has a string, so you can play just one string at a time and take each day as it comes. So get up every day in the morning and make sure that it's your best and you've given your best, irrespective of whatever has come your way. And life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of what you make out of it. So, to the most important and the simplest thing in life is these few questions. So, every time when you get up and you feel like there is no hope, there's nothing that you're able to do, ask yourself these questions. Did you learn enough from your experiences? Did you live enough for yourself and for the passion that you have? Did you celebrate each and every moment of your life? Did you reach out to someone who needed a hand? Life is actually very simple. And when you have the right attitude at it, you can actually make it or you can break it. It's as simple as that. And in times like these, we all have a conversation with our family and friends, and they're like, oh, this person got COVID and this person is dying and this is happening. In these times, apart from the skill set that you get and apart from the education that you get, apart from anything that apart from your success and everything, end of the day when you get that phone call, the only thing that you might feel is, did I make a significant difference today, not only in my life but in someone else's life too? And that's where the positive attitude comes in. So yeah, that's, and to end this with changing times, we need to adapt fast. We need to understand and we need to move ahead instead of, just whining about it at home. Oh, I had plans of going here and I couldn't go here to study and things like that. Instead of taking it that way, you can just take it in a way, oh, probably it's for the best. I can probably learn two courses at the same time. I can get more skills that are required for the job, which is in demand as of now, like the technology sector. So, yeah, so that's what I had to say today. Thank you.
Thank you, Anshula. Thank you for speaking about the importance of having the right attitude at a time like this, and on staying positive, which I'm sure a lot of us find it pretty hard to do at a time like this. Next, we have Professor Venkata Shastri. So,
Yeah, very good morning to all of you. Thanks for this opportunity, SRMIST and Hindu. Great listening to Krishnan and Anshula. I come from one of the biggest multi-stream universities in the country, SRMIST. We are proud of our diversity in terms of gender and in terms of geography. We are present across the country, and we have a footfall from Kashmir to Kanyakumari throughout the length and breadth of the country. I come from a department, Department of Career Center, which works with hopes and aspirations of 6,000 plus students pursuing various courses in SRMIST across the campuses we have. So as a third, I intentionally asked Radhika to be a third speaker because I can end up agreeing with Krishnan and Anshula, or I can end up disagreeing on some points, or I can sum it up and say thank you. So that's things up the lighter side apart. I have the slideshow, which is basically trying to sum up most of the time. It tries to sum up what Krishnan and Anshula said, and maybe a few specifics here and there. And thank you very much. I'm sharing my PPT now. So that's COVID redefining jobs and lifestyle. This is what is the topic today. And Krishnan did a good justice by getting into the learning and by also getting into the industry perspective and how various initiatives are being taken up to understand this challenge that we are forced into and how the students should take care of this when they are preparing for their life. So going to the what actually it did to these two entities which I am more experienced and exposed to is students and teachers who are around me all the time. So what it did to them is actually pushed towards digitalization. This is what Krishnan has also stressed upon. Digitalization is that it is not a new thing that is happening today. It's been there, but the typical classroom mentality and setup we have had in our minds has actually not allowed us to, or we are averse to that change, maybe probably that we didn't adopt it so fast, so good at so bigger a scale today. This is such a big scale today. You know, everything is off in one night, and next day we are there. Next day morning we are there in this world where we need to get onto the online world. So what exactly happened at that moment was in the life of a teacher is that he was typically sharing a notes and thoughts and a one-sided talk inside a classroom is pushed into a place where it's called online and live class. In an online and live class, how do you engage a student? The span of attention, the span of the control you have is the biggest challenge. Unless and until you use the technology and the tools that are existing there, you'll never be able to get onto it. Let me tell you a few things here today. The current vice chancellor of our university, who used to be director of engineering and technology when I had a first stint with SRM in 2012, he called me one fine day and he said, you need to get onto Coursera and finish these 2 courses. I said, what is this task to me, sir? You could have asked me get 10 more companies and ensure our students have better placement opportunities. That would have been a task to me, but why are you giving this task to me? He very clearly said that lifelong learning and continuous learning are 2 things which we need to insist on everybody, whether it is student, teacher, or anybody in the world. So for that, these online courses and online is very much useful. So let's insist on our students also. There is industries who are working in different verticals. They're working with the technology domains which are varied in nature. So let them get onto online to get some more specific skills which they aspire to get into. Suppose I aspire to get into a particular industry vertical, I need to understand what are the domains they work with, technology domains. Maybe I'll get extra qualification there, possibly beyond my academic curriculum. That's what is the idea that he used to have. And 2012, he was talking about it to us. When in 2019 and 2021, now we're actually pushed to do such sort of things at each and every level. So ideally, the teacher should be a facilitator. He has to engage with these online tools and facilitate the process. Now coming to the student, how COVID redefined the role of a student. This is from a very passive learning exercise to a very active learning place where he is connected to gadgets, which are, again connected to the faculty as well to his friends as well to the world. So he has to grasp all these things at a time, and he needs to understand these things and work with them efficiently and effectively, so that the active learning paradigm is fulfilled. That's what I think Christian was also trying to tell this very clearly, how the landscape has changed towards active learning. Now, in this entire thing, the students and faculties, when they're going through this, what I found out is these are the 4 traits that made a huge difference to me, which I observed, is that, freedom from rigid schedules that consume time and effort. To be an amazing communicator, listening and engaging is a very key thing. Openness to change. This is what Anshula was also trying to, the stressful times, be empathetic and stress management. I'm sure all these people who are hooked on to us now today are going through this entire thing, and they are successful, I can say that. And to be on time and every time. Then the question comes in, what would happen once we are back to classrooms? I would say best of the both the worlds will continue. That's what Christian also said in his slides, that this is going to be best of the practices are going to be retained, and there will be a lot of appreciation for this effort. So there, the surveys that we have had with the students post-COVID also endorses that view that lectures should be made available offline also. There are a lot of good lectures should be captured and kept in the library-like place where they can refer back and they can learn at their own time, anytime, anywhere, any gadget. That's what Krishna has also insisted on. This is what's going to happen in the future, and this is what the students also endorse. Then what would happen to the teachers? This is the biggest digital experience, powerful digital experience they are going to create in this country. You would see many of the teachers become digital specialists with great creativity and more exposure and better work-life balance, because most of these tasks which they were doing in a traditional ways have taken shape into automation, and now they have understood the importance of this, and they are really pushing ahead with all these things in their arsenal. So they're going to be successful like this. This is what I tried to capture what a faculty could be. He is a facilitator, effective delegator, nurtures inspiration, centered and relaxed role model, good listener, and a great sorry. So he creates a powerful experience for the joyful and conducive atmosphere for the students. So coming to the next point, I just a second. Yeah. So some appreciation for this batch of students who are, we can call them as they're the most resilient batch of students, and I call them that. Why? Is because they are facing the pandemic, which is just when the pandemic hit. I was just going to the history of this pandemic. It's once in a century event, and this is a batch of students who are facing this, and this pandemic has thrown a new UGA to them, as volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity to them. And I'm sure they're working, and there are many students who talk to us day in and day out. What I see is definitely they will work on an antithesis for this UGA with the vision, which is vision, understanding, clarity, and ambiguity. So that's where I see the student community is going to be, and those students who are graduating in this difficult times, challenging times, crazy times, or rather, they should be proud that they have taken such a challenge and they have come out of it. I will sum up with what Anshula said in her presentation. That focus on what you have, embrace the reality, focus on what you can control, and attitude is one thing that she stressed on. I think that students should all these students should take care of these three issues. These 3 points are very, very words of wisdom for them, and they should take care of it. So with this, I say, stay safe, stay healthy. All the very best to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We already have some questions coming, so I'm just going to pose these questions. Mr. Krishnan, I'm going to start with you. Since you spoke about content fatigue, with a lot of students now online these days for everything from learning to, even in the time that they're not learning, they're either watching movies or they're on social media. So they spend a lot of time online. So how can a student deal with content fatigue, and how can they sift the necessary from the unnecessary?
So I think it's a good question. And I would say there's no expert today, because everyone suffers in some way, from content fatigue. And, it's become an addiction, many of the mobile phone and social media. But the best way to handle it is to, have a goal in mind. And a student should first, look at, what is it that they want to achieve? Maybe a short-term goal. Maybe they want to get skilled on something. Maybe if they are looking for a job, they want to get into a company. And once you set that goal, it's very important to then have a plan. Okay, how do you get to that goal? And once you have a plan, it's not just necessary to just create a plan on your own. You should try and network, join such conferences, reach out to the industry, and just see, is my goal realistic? Is my plan realistic? And once you have both this in place, you would be much more focused in terms of looking at content that is relevant to your goal, and search for more content that is helps you build the big picture. Today, what I see is many times we don't have a goal, we don't have a plan, and then we are a victim of the content that gets thrown to us. But I've seen students who are very focused, who have a goal, and parents can do a great job. Like Dr. Venkata mentioned, the teacher can act as a facilitator or a guide. And once the goal is clear, a plan is clear, then then it'll be much more focused, and you can better deal with the content fatigue. You can't deal with it completely, but I'm sure you'll be having better control over it.
Yes. Students, it's not just you who's having content fatigue. I think all of us are, because the whole point of this talk is about how our lifestyles have changed as a result of this pandemic. So it's not just students who are studying online, even we are in front of the computer all day. So for us also, it's as big a challenge as it is for you. So just remember that we're all in this together in a way, because we all are suffering from content fatigue. Anshula, I think a teacher has asked this question. He says, how can I keep my students positive and motivated at a time like this, especially because some of them have lost their loved ones?
Okay, so in these times, it's very important to be there by their side. And it should also be okay with the teacher to be okay with the student not being able to cope up in the class during these times.
Yeah.
Because these things take a while to, especially if there's a loss of parents, then it takes a lot of time for the student to heal first. Second is they go through a lot of emotions. So it could come out in aggression, it could come out as crying, it could come out as real sadness. But to make sure that someone or the other is keep on talking to them. Because then if the kid goes in depression, then the entire life that he has worked to build on can go down within a second. So I think that's very important. And to keep talking him or her into things what they can do. So one thing that they could do is put their mind into something constructive. Like, for example, if he or she is not feeling like studying, he could probably suggest a movie that is very motivating, and then the kid could watch that. So that's something that is doable, instead of focusing or telling, oh, why don't you read this course book of yours. I don't think a person would be able to concentrate on that after a loss. Ask them to, work out at home, or ask them to do something constructive where if they work out, there's a lot of happy hormones that get released, because of which they come in this a better state than they are. So that's something that these two things are that they can do.
Right. I think the one thing that you stressed, which is really important, is that students should not be pressured all the time to be learning. So it's okay, even give them
Yeah,
time to grieve, give them
because
time to process.
because in this time we have to be okay with a person feeling what they're feeling, so they can let go of that feeling over a certain period of time instead of
Absolutely.
pressurizing them into things,
Right. Yeah.
because then that just takes them on the edge, and then they'll stop talking to you like this.
Yes.
So the way to let someone in to their zone is to be, be that friend of theirs. Oh, why don't you watch this movie and then tell me how you felt about it? Or why don't you write down, things that are bothering you? So yeah.
Right. Thank you. Um, Professor Shastri, one student has asked, will new methods of learning continue after the pandemic gets over, or will we go back to the old methods of learning?
As I very clearly said in my presentation, and even Krishnan has emphasized on this, best of the both worlds are going to go together. And we can't do away with the digital technology that has come into the teaching space, the teaching and learning space. And it is for the good. Krishnan said this, it is the best time to learn. There's no time like this. He wanted to be a student. That's where everybody wants to be like. So that itself endorses that, like the best of both the worlds are going to be there. And we will have a sea change in the classroom and, learn as such a teaching and learning, whatever we call that. And there are many initiatives that went on even well before the pandemic. One initiative, one which I can speak is Wipro used to have an initiative called Mission 10X, where they tried building up a good content and delivery methodologies using digital technologies way back in 2007 to 2010 itself. There are many initiatives that have gone in, and we also, as a university pioneering in teaching and learning, we take so many initiatives. We try to get connected with the student community and external world using technology itself. So there are a lot of things that are going to happen, and they are going to be different. The classroom is going to be, as I said, it is one of the best experience that a student can get. That's going to be the spirit of this entire, the takeaway from this entire tragedy that is happening to us.
Right. This question actually seems to have come to us from about 4 students. So I think everyone is worried.
And if I can add,
yeah,
Radhika,
of course,
I think the main thing is the adaptability. See, things are changing, but there are 2 ways to look at it. One is that continue to live in the past, or look at how can I adapt what has changed and how can I maximize the leverage of what has changed. So with that mindset, I'm sure students would be creating the right strategy to leverage the opportunity. I'm very positive, as Dr. Shastri also mentioned, that it's a great opportunity to be a student. Great time to be a student.
Right. Mr. Krishnan, you spoke about skills, the importance of cultivating skills at a time like this. So we have a couple of students asking us, what kind of skills are you talking about? What kind of skills do you think students can cultivate at a time like this? Could you give us some examples? And also I'm just going to add another question to that. There is a student who is specifically asking about what TCS looks for.
Sure. So let me start with the TCS question, so easier question to answer. So what we have done in TCS is we have something called a T-score. Basically the vertical part of the T, if you write a T, right? And T obviously stands for technology, but the vertical line of the T is looking at skills in terms of going deep into a skill. And the horizontal is, going broad. And if I just abstract that framework, I would say that the student should look at 1 or 2 skills that they can, be really good at. Because when a corporate comes to hire, they are not looking if you're a jack of all trades. So it's important to pick 1 or 2 skills, maybe cloud computing, maybe AI, maybe data science, whatever interests you, go deep and expose yourself to as many learning, specialization, certifications as possible. But having said that, it's not, you can't be a single trick pony in today's world, because most of the large deals, most of the tectonic shifts in technology, the digital transformation requires you to understand. You can't say that, okay, I know only data science, I don't know anything else. That's not a right approach either. So you have to develop a broad range of skills too. You don't need to be a specialist in it, but still you need to understand how it applies in terms of the deep knowledge that you carry. And when I say broad range of skills, there are certain horizontal skills which are not, hard skills, like communication. Look at your communication, and communication has a lot of dimension. If you just sit down and write down, are you authentic? Do you have good content? How is your visual delivery? How are you able to interact with your peers? How are you interacting with your superiors, with your class teachers? So communication itself is a science in itself. Look at for other, skills like design thinking, problem solving skills, analytical skills. So these are things that, think of it like, when you go to a war, you can't just, take just a single weapon. You need to, bring the entire artillery, and hence you have to develop that profile of skills, which shows that you're a much well-rounded person, but at the same time, not become a jack of all trades and master of none. So pick up one or two skills that you're really, really good at, and specialize on it, and also have a broad range of skills. Think about the T, horizontal and vertical. And I think that will be very valuable to the corporates. And the other thing that I just want to highlight is, when you are learning any skill, it's just not about, learning the theoretical background. You have to know how a skill is applying to solve real world challenge. And that's when you really can say that you have mastered that skill. I mean, you can take a problem and solve it. And hence you have to expose yourself to a lot of problems like that. And the problem cannot just come from the academic world. It has to come from the corporate, because that's where really the rubber meets the road. So it's very important to expose yourself to industry mentors, to internship, to guidance, to ensure that the skills that you're gaining are solving real world challenges. So these are some of the broad context on how you should develop your plan. And once you have a plan, just go about executing. There's no right or wrong answer. One has to fall in love with learning. And more you learn, better prepared you are. And as long as you develop that love for learning, I think you should be safe.
Mr. Krishnan, a related question, since we are talking about skills. You spoke about how certain students they learn these skills, and there are some certificate courses available these days, and they get certificates, but some of them are not authentic. So one student has asked, how can we find out whether what we are doing is an authentic course or not?
It's a very good question. In fact, this is a challenge that I face as a recruiter, where a student comes up and says, I have gone through so many certifications online, but unfortunately, we might not be, endorsing them. And many of the programs that a student undertakes, unfortunately, these programs are created so that you get a certificate, and the student is unable to demonstrate whether they have learned the skill or not. So the couple of things that I would do as a student when I look out for a program is, the first thing is, is this program has a component that has been designed and delivered by the industry? It's a very important question to ask, thereby ensuring that, when you get that skill from that source, the industry is automatically endorsing it. Because if an industry has designed and taking part in the delivery, they're serious about this. They're not just creating skill for the sake of creating, right? Because they have a need and they're creating it in a very targeted fashion. The second thing that I would expect is that, is this component of a program has a strong, either an internship or a strong hands-on experiential component. Again, very important, because as I keep repeating, probably I'm repeating it for the nth time, it's a very important message, because you gain a skill only when you can apply it in a real world context. So does the program offer you enough real world context? It can be, offer you internship, it can offer you industry projects, it can offer you industry mentors, etc. The third that I would look for is the brand. Is it from a reputable institute or a reputable corporate. And it'll be better for students to choose programs that is endorsed, designed by both corporates and industry. Each of them have their strength. See, when I look at, say, a top Ivy League college launching a program, these are people who have really gone into the depth, and they are far ahead in terms of the kind of application that even an industry possibly has not caught up for. But at the same time, it is important to also have a component of industry, because what do you do with skills that cannot be applied in an industry? So it has to balance with good mentorship and components that a reputable corporate has endorsed. So those are the three broad questions that I would ask. Is it endorsed by the corporate? Is there outcome link? Is there a strong experiential component? And third, what is the kind of brand? And do top brands, both from corporates and academia, endorse this program?
Thank you. I think also, even though you did repeat it a few times, I think it does need repetition. The fact that we need to learn skills that will actually help, because a lot of students, I think, also learn skills just because other people are, not necessarily because they think that it's suitable for themselves or for their careers, but simply because of peer pressure also. So I think that's also an important consideration. Anshula, one student has asked, how do we manage our time at a time like this? We're all sitting at home all the time. How do we manage our time, and how do we stay focused when we are supposed to stay focused?
Okay, so this is a very usual question that I get. So it's an easy one. So the first thing that you do when you get up in the morning after you brush your teeth, make a to-do list for yourself. That's the single most important thing that you do in the morning, because once you make a to-do list for yourself, you know how much things you have to do, and you know how much time you have to give to it. So you automatically take acute stress about it, and then you start working towards it. In terms of how to be focused, because of pandemic, now we've become used to just, even if you're trying to search something on Google and then we see this new movie trailer come out, we're like, oh, let's see that. So our mind is like a baby which is running from one place to the other, okay, because of such things. So in this, what a person could do is probably have this motivation thing put out on the laptop or in a sheet of paper, wherever they sit and they're learning this thing. So have your goal put out in front of you, and every time you see it, you will feel so motivated to actually go there. There'll be times when you'll be like, oh, forget it, I don't want to do it. But when you see it, you'll actually start working towards it. Until unless you don't see what your goal is right in front of you, like draw something, put it up on your wall and just see it, even if it's like on your ceiling, so that when you get up, you're working for that. So that's something that is like a trick that kind of helps you work towards your goal. So that's how you get your focus, and a to-do list.
Yeah, even I totally believe in to-do lists. I think the happiness that comes out of ticking things off that list is something else.
Yeah.
Venkatesh Shastri sir, one student has asked, and I think this is an important question. If anything, the pandemic has really taught us the importance of job security. A lot of people are losing their jobs at a time like this in various sectors. So how important is it to consider that factor while choosing your career?
Yeah, you're talking about two things there. One is a job security, other is a career. Okay.
Yeah.
When we say career is associated with learning, lifelong learning, skilling, reskilling yourself every now and then. So a person who is really serious about his career and the career path which he has taken now, he will reskill himself and try to adapt to the challenges that come on. So this itself is the biggest question that comes to me in campuses. At 20 years of age, when they graduate, when some industry gives them an internship opportunity and says, post the internship, we'll evaluate you and give you an offer. They say, sir, why should I go for this company? I said, the first and foremost thing which is happening to you is you are getting an internship while you are pursuing your course. So you're getting industry exposure. That's most important to you in your life now, rather than looking for a job at this time. This means what is contributing to your job, what is contributing to establishing a career. You make yourself, slot out yourself, understand, then ask this question. Then it actually puts you in a right path. The problem with all of us is that we take our job seriously, we don't take our career seriously. When we take our career seriously, we'll never have this problem of adjusting, refitting, reskilling ourselves and getting into the things that we will be comfortable with, and the career will be very much secure. I talk of career security because he has to, the person who is doing a job has to think about his career first, then delivering, then use that skills to deliver this job to ensure he gets that career.
Absolutely.
That's what I would say. I think I'm clear in what I said.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Krishnan, one student has asked, what is the best time to do an internship?
It all depends on what course that you're doing. I remember in my college, there was only requirement of, I think, 2 internship. But I ended up, and many of my peers ended up doing like 7, 8 internships. So there is no real, one is the formal internship that you would do. But look at it, internship as an opportunity to learn, right? Anything that you get yourself a mentor. If you are working in the science area, you can always reach out to many labs in the country. There are so many, very good labs who are wanting, students to come and work in them. Lot of industries are looking for, but it's important that, you don't kind of delegate it to your career services department. The student needs to take ownership and then try hard through parent network, through peer network, and land up in good internship programs where the industry where they're working, the industry SME is invested in their career, is genuinely looking to mentor them. There have been times when I have seen a lot of interns coming and joining the company, and the SME who is supposed to be mentoring them has no time for them. That's a very bad use of the intern, and you're really starting them off in a very bad, giving them a wrong message. But it's equally important for the student also to work hard to identify mentors who are genuinely invested in their career, who want to ensure that they are getting that kind of exposure, giving them real good problem statements to handle. So the question is that you need to work hard, do as many internships as possible. Obviously, your course requirement, you have to meet the minimal course requirement. So depending on what the AICT or whatever institute or university that you're working with, make sure that you meet the minimal course requirement, but go beyond it. I always say this, that anything that you do in life, be ready to put that 10x effort. And as a student, you have so much time and so much opportunity getting opened up. This is the time to put the effort, and internship is a very key component of learning something deep and learning something well. So do as much as you can and work hard to get right internship, identify the right mentor who is invested in their career.
Right. Mr. Krishna, we have yet another question about skills, so I'm just going to ask you that. There is one student who has asked, there are courses for free available on YouTube, and if I master a course, do I need a certificate, or will just my skill be counted when I look for a job?
In fact, he has hit a chord, because this is the question that I get not just asked by students, but also institutions that we work with. I believe that anything valuable in life, right, should not be free. While YouTube and many other free platforms exist, it is important to leverage them, but you have to look out for programs that go beyond just providing content. YouTube is a great platform. If you want to learn, you don't know something, you can just Google and just learn it. But I don't believe that it gives you skills that can truly make a difference when it comes to solving real corporate challenges. And hence you have to look out for programs that are much more deeper. In my personal opinion, it takes anywhere from minimum 3 months if it's a great program, ideally about 6 months, to really go from I don't know something to to an extent understand it and I can solve something, right? because that's the kind of skill that the corporate is looking for, right? We are not looking for, somebody who can just, give some high level answers. When it comes to an interview, we really want to know whether the student has really a deep understanding in any area, right? The area is so vast. So you have to pick up an area and then enroll in yourself in programs that will help you develop it. And an intervention of anywhere from 3 to 6 months is what I would say is important, with the other components that I spoke about earlier, right? With exposure, hands-on, industry involvement, internship. Those are all other critical components that will ensure that what you learn theoretically, you are able to have a better appreciation of it. And after 6 months, you should ask yourself, if I'm given a problem, can I solve it? Then somebody else who might not be able to solve it. I mean, if you can answer that confidently, then you have gained a skill. And you have to not just gain one skill, as I mentioned, right? You have to gain multiple skills, both horizontal and vertical, to be in a better state when it comes to jobs and interviews.
Right. Thank you. Anshula, I have a question from a student who says, people around me, many of them are sick, some of them are dying. I find it very hard to be positive. Could you give some tips? And as a related question, I want to ask you something. As someone who works in news, news, unfortunately, nowadays it's capturing reality, but the reality is quite depressing. So how much of news do you think students should consume, and how much should they sort of stay away from? Because being informed is important, but I think at a time like this, also staying away from it is important, just to, stay positive and for one's own mental health. So yes, how do you stay positive? Some tips, please. And also, how important is it? How much news should you consume and how much should you not?
Okay. So I'll start with, how do you stay positive in such times? So I have lost many close family friends and family members due to COVID. It is hard. So the first step to anything to come on a positive track from such a rough patch is accepting that this has happened and this is how I'm feeling. So accepting the reality and then accept the feelings that you're going through. Okay. So step one is accept the reality. Step two is accept the feelings that you're going through. You might get aggressive, you might feel sad, you might feel like crying. Accept it and embrace it. It's okay for you to feel like crying. It's okay for you to get angry and want to break something. Just don't break the TV at home. But it's okay for you to wanting to punch into a wall. It's okay for you to get aggressive, sad, or feel any kind of emotions at this point of time. The second step to it is writing it down. This is a step that I'm teaching, how to let go of things. Okay, so the third step is write it down on a page. Okay, what you're exactly feeling, why is it hurting you so much? Okay, so just write everything down. It could be 7 pages, it could be 2 pages. Just write it down. Okay, and after you write it down, burn the page. Burn the page. When you're writing it down, you'll have a lot of emotions that you're not able to speak out to anybody else. So it's just like how and if, so for example, someone maintains a personal diary, when you're writing things down, you're letting your emotions flow and come into your writing. So that's an energy that you've transferred from your emotions to the page. And then when you burn the page, you will find that you get a little goosebumps. It's actually you are releasing that energy of yours, the sadness that you have, the hurt that you have. You're releasing that. So anytime you feel that you're going through something like this, or someone has hurt you, or you've lost someone, just write it and then burn it. And when you're burning it, say, I'm letting all the hurt go, I accept what has happened, and then you start again. Fourth thing is something which is very important is workout. Workout, even for 15 minutes, if you start, you just jump in a place, or you just put on some good music and you just dance. Okay, you do silly dance, it's okay, but just do it. Take out 15 minutes initially, and then you can extend it to 30 minutes. But take out 15 minutes and work out, because what happens is when you're working out, dopamine, serotonin, all these hormones are released, which kind of puts you in a good mood. So every time you work out, you must have felt you feel a bit more motivated in your life, right? So that's the other thing. So these are the four things that a person can do to become a bit more positive. And surround yourselves with people who kind of give you more of a positive news or a positive vibe initially for some time.
Mm.
So that's the fifth thing. In terms of how much news should a kid consume and not, see, honestly speaking, the entire news is out there on the internet. You put on one video of just, any video you type, and then the news comes in the ad. Okay, so it's out there, they're bound to see it. It's good that they refrain, but the only issue is they may not be able to refrain because either parents are sitting at home and watching and they're in the room, so they're able to overhear it, or they're just talking to their friend and their friend is like, oh, this happened, and then they get the news. So irrespective of them trying to avoid it, they're still going to listen to it, irrespective. It's good to avoid, but it's not avoidable. It's like this necessary evil. No offense to the media industry,
No,
but it's like
absolutely. Yeah.
it's like a necessary evil. So you're bound to listen to it. And what a person can do in this is accept the reality. It's I know it's really bad, but we also have to understand that our life doesn't stop here. We have so much of life ahead of us, and we can grow 10 times stronger, and we can come out of this together if we create a positive energy around ourselves. I'll just give you a simple example. So when I had COVID and my mom-in-law had COVID, my husband didn't have COVID. So I was a person who took a lot of stress because my mom-in-law had COVID. But my husband is a kind of a person who has an attitude, oh, sab theek ho jayega, everything will be fine. So he didn't get COVID because of that. And we got fine faster because there was a positive environment around us that we had created. So it is not only if the kids have to stop the negative information from getting to them about COVID, it is also the responsibility of parents at home to not watch the news so often, where they are able to hear such things and be like, oh, sab theek ho jayega, it's okay. So creating that environment is also parents' responsibility. So I think that answers the question.
Absolutely. Yeah, it does. Thank you. Shastri sir, so one student has asked, I have completed a course in travel and tourism. Now the industry has been majorly hit by the pandemic. Do you think it makes sense for me to switch to another industry, or do you see the hospitality sector seeing a resurgence soon? So I think you're muted. Yeah.
As I said in my presentation, look at what you have, embrace the reality. That's what all of us, all three of us are stressing. Yes, maybe for some time the industry is going through a bad patch, but we all expect that things will return back to normalcy, and we all will ensure that the market takes a huge leap, which is not expected in the time if it is a normal course of time. So that's what is the expectation from every one of us. So he should always look at thinking of how best he can utilize the skills he has gained in this in the hospitality industry in wherever it is possible, and hold on to his he has taken that course with some passion. I'm sure he should hold on, hang on to that, and look at using those skills in any other sector wherever the possibility is there, but keep his passion and hopes open and work with it. And maybe he can innovate some things which will help us to reopen the industry very fast also. If we can get into the domain, reduce the touch points of COVID, he may be, something can happen like that, he'll be able to reopen that industry also very fast. That's what I suggest to a person who has taken this course as passion. He should have that fire burning there, but for this difficult moment, he should take care of he should understand the reality and hang on to that skill, use that skill if it is possible in a different sector, and wait for it to come up, or invest your time in innovating that space if there is something which he can do, and he should try to bring that up into the public domain.
Right.
Krishnan can add some points on this because they take they're into various domains. They work with various clients across the country.
Sure. I just want to add that see, one is the industry skills, the other is the functional skill. So I think the student mentioned that he has done an MBA. I was just going through the chat. So if you're an MBA, yes, industry domain knowledge is important. But if the domain is suffering, then you can ask the second question. Okay, what am I passionate about? I mean, am I passionate about marketing, operations, HR? I mean, what am I strategy, whatever, right? And then look out for another industry till this industry comes back, where you can continue to develop your domain skills. And once the industry is back, then you also didn't waste your time. You can go back to your passion. And you're young, so you can definitely explore more. You should explore more. I always say this, the first 5 to 6 years, explore as many industries, as many domains, because you may think that you know what you want in life, but maybe, you should continue to search for, that skill or that area that, most motivates you. Yes, the theoretical knowledge that you gain from academic world is important, but as you gain more industry experience, you also start to discover your passion. There are so many people who, after 20 years in the industry, they start off a new company in completely unrelated area. So you can always discover your passion and do many things, especially when you're young. Try and explore as much. Yes, the industry is down, so try and see if you can map with your passion in certain domains that you're interested in, develop that skill. And then if you're very passionate, I'm sure the travel hospitality industry is going to come back. So you can possibly a few years down the line, come back to the industry. That's
Absolutely.
What I would.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all waiting for things to get back to normal and take a holiday. So I'm sure the hospitality industry is waiting for its customers. This is a question I'm going to pose to all of you because I'm not entirely sure if it's really related to today's seminar subject, but it's been asked by 2 people. How secure is the internet during the pandemic? And I ask this question because the whole world is depending on the internet right now for everything. Shastri sir, would you like to attempt this question?
Yeah, as far as I am concerned, it should never be secure. It should keep challenging us, and we should keep working with it, and we should keep improving on that. And if it becomes so secure and all, there is a big domain and chunk of business that gets closed. And I have many of my students who are passionate about that.
Right, cyber security.
Cyber security and many other aspects are there.
Yeah.
And security is something which, it should be that illusion all the time. We try to create that watertight. Things should move on like that, and that industry also should survive, and that passion also should survive. So I really say that you should have appropriate behavior for everything. Today, COVID has taught you this. It is a very serious virus that's going around, and there is an appropriate behavior for that. So all of us should learn to be appropriate with that. We can't say that COVID is another something else will come up. It's a challenge. But how watertight you can become for that? You need to understand that you can't have watertight strategies to manage all these things, but you can be appropriate with an appropriate behavior. You can come out of it. So even I tell you, even when you are on the net, you should be having that appropriate, optimized behavior with that. That's what I say. And I leave it to the rest 2 of them to take up.
Shastri sir, while we, Mr. Krishna, would you like to add to that, or can I go on to the next question?
No, my only point is, anything has its positives and negatives. So internet can be very unsecure place. So it's important that as a student, as parent, we understand the limitation of internet and act accordingly. There are, obviously there are so many news out there where people have got swindled of money and etc. So it's important to be wary and use the tool with appropriate protections in place.
Yeah. Shastri, so there's one student who's asking, are there robotical engineering and aerospace engineering courses? He says universities, but I think he means courses available in India.
We have it in SRM. Yeah, we have it in SRM. They should come onto the admission counseling, virtual counseling sessions are available. They should take a counseling from there. It's available on the, you please come to our URL website and you check on. There's a lot of data available there. We have all this. We have a multi-stream university. We have everything for you.
Okay. I think we are running out of time. I hope we've been able to answer a lot of these questions. Some of the questions are quite similar, which is why I have skipped them. And some of them, I think we have asked, like we've bunched up the questions and asked them. But it's nearly 12:15, so I think I will have to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us today, for taking time off on a Sunday morning and joining us. Mr. Krishnan, thank you so much for speaking. I think your point about skills especially has got us so many questions. A lot of students are very worried about what kind of skills they need. Anshula, thank you so much for talking about the right kind of attitude to have and how to approach a difficult time like this with the right mindset, because I'm sure a lot of students and adults, both students as well as teachers, are struggling. A couple of teachers have also asked us, how do we motivate our students? So I think this is going to be a challenge for a while. So to talk about lifestyle changes, I think that was part of the topic, and I think you addressed that quite well. So thank you. Shastri sir, as you had said earlier during the presentation, you've spoken about a little, you've combined a little bit of what both of them have said, but you've also given your own presentation and your own perspective. So thank you for your time also, and to SRM University. Students, thank you so much. This is a Sunday morning, and this is not how I spent my Sundays as a student. So I can imagine how this must be a different time for you, but I hope this was a helpful session for all of you. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Please stay safe, and please stay home, and please stay masked. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank
Bye.
you.